Hi, I'm Felipa, and today is day 171 of my 365-day commitment to complete reading the Bible. Today I started on Proverb 13, a wise son lives righteously. It's the 18th of February. So I'll just go through the Proverbs that really stood out to me, starting with verse 3. He that keepeth his mouth keepeth his life, but he that openeth wide his lips shall have destruction. So essentially saying know when to keep your mouth closed and know when to open it, but mostly know how to keep your mouth closed because that means you'll keep your life. And then the person who constantly opens their mouth wide and chatters and gives their opinion and doesn't have any self-control, it'll be the destruction of you. In verse 7, there is that maketh himself rich, yet hath nothing. There is that maketh himself poor, yet hath great riches. So just because that you're rich, it doesn't mean that you have a lot. It means that you might not have anything because you don't have wisdom and knowledge. You don't live righteously. And there are the poor, but they actually have great riches because they live well, they're righteous, they follow commandments, and they know who they are. In verse 10, only by pride cometh contention, but with the well advised is wisdom. So if you have pride, you're only going to end up with contention. And if you are asking to be advised, to have feedback, you will have wisdom because you're not worried about your pride. You're open to receiving information and bettering yourself because of it. In verse 11, wealth gotten by vanity shall be diminished, but he that gathereth by labor shall increase. So if you go into trying to pursue things in life like wealth and affluence and knowledge and wisdom through vanity, so maybe riding on the coattails of evil or wickedness or trying to make a quick buck sort of thing, your life will be diminished. But the person that goes and actually puts in the work, their wealth will increase. And this also means like internal work, right? So if you work on yourself, you will prosper in life and you will have great wealth in many different ways because of the work that you actually put in. In verse 12, hope deferred maketh the heart sick, but when the desire cometh, it is a tree of life. So this is saying that, even if you have hope for something and it's delayed and it makes your heart really, really heavy and it makes you sad, when that hope is fulfilled, when that wish comes true, it is going to feel so much better. It'll feel as though it is the tree of life. In verse 14, the law of the wise is a fountain of life, to depart from the snares of death. So once again, wisdom is the fountain of life. Verse 15, good understanding giveth favor, but the way of transgressors is hard. So if you have wisdom, knowledge, you're willing to understand and work with others, you will have favor in life. But if you are a transgressor, your way in life will be difficult. In verse 18, poverty and shame shall be to him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. So if you refuse feedback, knowledge, wisdom, if you're not willing to be accountable for who you are, you will have poverty and shame, but those who do the opposite shall be honored. Verse 22, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. So if you're a good person, if you have wisdom, if you have knowledge, if you are taking care of yourself, not only will your first generation be taken care of, but so will following generations because you've set good examples going forward. In verse 23, much food is in the tillage of the poor, but there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. So saying that even the poor have the ability to reclaim and labor and profit and yield a lot of good. But if you're constantly in the desire of judgment, in this desire of wisdom, and you actually lack wisdom, all of that food in that tillage that you even had access to and the potential to get will be destroyed. And lastly, verse 24, he that spareth his rod hateth his son, but he that loveth him chasteneth him betimes. So saying that if you do not, essentially, for lack of better words, if you don't punish your child, you actually hate him. But if you do punish him or if you do scold him, you actually love him because you're trying to better him for all of eternity, for the rest of his times. And I think that there is obviously a lot of wisdom in that, right? I think we can end up in situations where we protect or coddle because we want to shield children and we want to prevent them from pain, but it's not doing them a service to an extent if we're not giving them the realities of life. So it actually is good for us to be strict or for us to teach us the lessons, or life will. And this way we can actually maybe control the narrative. Whereas if life is teaching them a lesson, it might come at them a lot more harsh than we would have wanted it to be. And also it'll be more painful for them if they learn it from life than from somebody who they love. That's it for day 171. I will be back tomorrow for day 172. Thank you for listening.